On a day we expected fires, there were fires, and the firefighters were able to keep them under control. That meant ditching out on the governor, who was holding How We Fight Fire news conferences across the state. As we speak, lawmakers are debating the bill to increase penalties for fentanyl users. One lawmaker is not part of that debate, not by choice. He was arrested last night. How would you like to save money at the pump? Great! Lawmakers who created a new gas fee are working on delaying the fee they created. So why do we need the fee at all? And with extreme weather conditions we rarely see, how can we make some good out of it? It's Friday. We always find some good. That continues next. We're close. We're almost through this extreme fire danger day. Despite our warnings of the critical risk of fire for the metro area, there were indeed actual fires started today, mostly small ones that were put out quickly in Boulder County, could have guessed that, and Littleton. Things did get scary briefly in Colorado Springs when a fire prompted evacuations near I-25, a little close to the Air Force Academy. Those evacuations were lifted late this afternoon. In order to show his appreciation for our firefighters, Democratic Governor Jared Polis gathered them for not one, but two news conferences today to talk about fighting fires in Colorado. He canceled the third news conference in Colorado Springs because of that fire that started threatening homes. Presumably, the fire personnel were required at the fires, not photo ops. So you realize by now it's hot, dry, and windy. It's the one time I understand what a hairdryer feels like. It's also only April, and we hit a record high temperature today. Parts of Colorado are also lighting up a map that tracks how much the state is warming up. The impact is not vague or hard to grasp, and it's probably changing decisions about what you do on any given day. Anusha Roy starts in San Miguel County tonight.
The San Miguel County manager, where Telluride is, said the county is being threatened.
It absolutely feels like a threat.
From the layer of dust evaporating their snowpack to drought and fire concerns, Mike Bordonia said the entire county is impacted.
But it's been occurring at an exponential rise.
The East End has an economy entrenched in skiing and focused on the historic town.
Definitely fear if we have continued droughts and lesser amounts of snowpack, that will affect that visitation.
The West End relying on ranching and the agriculture industry.
Seeing some of the large ranches being sold out there, and although nobody's saying that that's why they might be trying to get out of the ranching business, I don't think it's a surprise that they're seeing greater challenges with water availability and plant production.
San Miguel County is a part of this NOAA map, lighting up the western part of Colorado in red, marking it as a hot spot.
We do know that our mountains are experiencing more significant warming, and that is due to how climate change is impacting basically the entire globe. We know that warming is more significant the closer to the poles you get, so the higher in latitude and higher elevations.
While the map can change depending on when the data was taken, Becky Bollinger, the assistant state climatologist, said it fits what's happening overall.
We are seeing consistent warming.
She says the state warmed up just over 2 degrees Fahrenheit over the last century. And while that change can be hard to wrap your mind around, Bollinger said we are now at the point where it is impacting our everyday lives for things as simple as going outside.
The air quality is poorer. You can't go outside and do the things you want to do. There's a lot of implications for people who, live in the city, and, you've got to go outside at some point.
So San Miguel County is working to address these issues. They're asking about, or they're working on everything from new bills to be as close to net zero carbon emissions as possible, working on their forest health and finding money for wildfire mitigation. And of course, a big thing, investing in public transportation. And, we've talked to Denver, we've talked to a whole bunch of counties about this issue, and a lot of them have really similar programs that they're working out individually in each county, but we're starting to see it show up across the state.
As someone who's never worked farther than, 15 minutes from my place of business, that's got to be really impactful for someone who has quite the commute and also dealing with this issue.
Right. Okay. I don't know how many times I've talked about, the fact that we are building away further from our cities because of affordable Well, in San Miguel County, it is not uncommon for a person to have a 2-hour round trip commute every day because they cannot find housing closer to where they work. And so once again, you're thinking about the carbon emissions, how that's adding up if a bunch of people are doing that. And so again, affordable housing becoming a critical part of this.
In this state, we're going to learn that transportation, CDOT eventually, now actually, deals more with this issue than ever before. It's not just about driving, it's about climate as well.
Exactly.
Thanks, Anusha. Casa Bonita can jokingly be referred to as Disney World of the West. Governor Polis has hinted at wanting the actual Disney World brought west. Polis is now in the middle of the fight between Florida's Republican governor, Ron DeSantis, and Disney. Today, DeSantis signed a law revoking special tax privileges for Disney in retaliation for criticizing his Don't Say Gay law. Enter Polis. He tweeted saying Florida's attacks on the private sector are driving businesses away and offered Colorado up as an alternative. Polis said, quote, "We will grant Mickey and Minnie full asylum in Colorado." Cue the conservative responses. The Colorado GOP's vice chair, Priscilla Ron, responded, "You'll target and destroy Colorado small businesses and support the sexual grooming of 5 to 8-year-olds. You're not the good guy." Grooming is often used as a stereotype to suggest someone in the LGBTQ community is a predator. Polis is openly gay. In a text, Priscilla Ron told me his sexual orientation had nothing to do with her social media post. Conservative columnist Mario Nicholas told me those kinds of comments are not just harmful, it's a bad strategy for Republicans.
It's the tired language of Republicans from 20 years ago. That's really what we're talking about here. And unfortunately, those were the policies that led Colorado Republicans to lose almost every office and every ability to govern in the state of Colorado. You're actually now referring to kind of pedophilia, and you're equating LGBTQ communities to criminal activities. This is something that we have done away with years and years and years ago at the Supreme Court. But they want to resurrect that, and they want to resurrect that with fear in their base and make that a motivating factor to show up the polls. And frankly, it's disgusting.
I also asked Priscilla Ron if she believes young children in Colorado are being groomed in the classroom and if she has proof. We're in hour 4 now of the debate on the Colorado House floor for the controversial fentanyl bill. Currently, the bill would make it a felony to possess 1 gram or more of fentanyl. The bill is facing amendments as the entire House debates. None of those amendments have stuck so far. A committee of lawmakers this morning, however, did make some changes. The one getting the most attention is known as a wobbler amendment. If someone is convicted of a felony for simple possession, it would change to a misdemeanor on their record if the defendant completes treatment. Simple possession is up to 4 grams of fentanyl. Democratic State Representative Leslie Herod is opposed to any felony charge for possession of less than 4 grams, while Governor Polis has pushed for felony charges on any level of possession. The option to go through treatment and get the charge lowered would be a concession for both sides. Democratic State Representative Matt Gray was not at the Capitol debating the fentanyl bill. He was arrested last night, booked and released on suspicion of DUI. Broomfield police gave us the address of where the traffic stop happened, and it led us to an elementary school. Gray, who lives in and represents Broomfield, was arrested at an address near a Broomfield elementary school. He had this booking photo taken, and then he was released. He was absent from the state capitol today. Earlier today, Democratic House Speaker Alec Garnett removed Gray from a legislative committee. That was earlier this year, and said in a statement today, "It's my belief that he has been struggling with alcoholism for some time now. I strongly believe he needs to take time to get the help he needs." In a now deleted tweet, Gray posted, "I was not intoxicated, but my symptoms of anxiety and depression are such that too many people are worried when they're around me." I've texted him a couple of times today, and Gray has not responded. A new state gas fee is supposed to take effect in July. Already high gas prices would then go up just a little bit more, 2 cents per gallon to start. That money would go to CDOT. Now, the same lawmakers who created that gas fee want to delay that gas fee, but still give CDOT $77 million. So if that can happen without a gas fee this year, why can't it happen without a gas fee every year? No matter how high gas prices get, Colorado's roads benefit from the same dollar amount, 22 cents per gallon. When gas was $2.99, the state's 22 cents per gallon gas tax went to CDOT. Now that gas is $3.87, the state's 22 cents per gallon gas tax goes to CDOT. Last year, state lawmakers passed a bill to create an escalating gas fee, starting at an additional 2 cents per gallon, increasing to 8 cents per gallon. It's supposed to start in July. Now, those same lawmakers want to delay the start of that fee until next April.
I think it's a recognition of the economic conditions that we find ourselves in.
The plan by the Democrats who created the gas fee is to delay the gas fee, but still give CDOT the money that was expected. Part of the reason they can do that is because Colorado is estimated to have a $2 billion budget overage, money that would be returned to residents as a Tabor refund. How much would you get? For instance, let's say your income is $75,000. Your refund would be $445 if you're single and double that if you're a couple. Except these refund amounts could be lower if lawmakers take $77 million of the $2 billion to fund CDOT.
One way of looking at it is that people are going to be saving that money right now before they go into the next tax year, next year.
It really depends how much you would have driven, and it really depends on how much your Tabor rebate would have been, and for each person it's hard to predict.
Henry Sobonay is a former CDOT commissioner and former state budget director for 2 governors. He explained why having the Tabor refund money to play with is why the legislature can fund CDOT today, but perhaps not in years when there is no Tabor refund money.
The viewers should understand the general fund is really meant for public safety, education, health care, and in really good years it helps offset transportation.
But it's a good question. If the legislature can pay for transportation without new fees today, in an election year, why can't they do it next year and the year after?
I don't see this as being something that the legislature revisits. It's just because people are caught right now in a very tough fiscal situation because of inflationary pressures that are out of our control.
The gas fee, the bill would also expand a savings on vehicle registration over the next 2 years. The one area it does not change, delivery fees and rideshare fees. Those fees, which are more than $0.25 per delivery, will not be delayed.
Our hope is that they hear the stories of what it's like to navigate the system, to be unhoused, to try to search for affordable housing.
Using a podcast to humanize a population that's not always seen as human. Plus, an update on what you're doing to help build homes for veterans who need them. Next.
Critical fire weather conditions along with poor air continue through the evening. A record high temperature at DIA today of 89 degrees. Temperatures this afternoon warmed into the 90s in eastern Colorado. This all ahead of a powerful storm that's going to bring snow to the high country tonight, cooler weather and showers to the Front Range both Saturday and Sunday. The rain and snow ramp up across the Continental Divide. Only isolated showers expected in Denver tonight and tomorrow. Potentially a better chance of showers on Sunday. Cooler weekend highs in the mid-50s and lower 60s ahead of a string of warm, dry days. We're back to sunshine and 70s by the middle of next week.
I enjoy a worse weekend than the week we've had. That's actually nice for a change. Keeping our unhoused neighbors safe has been a challenge for Front Range communities for years. Now, a new organization is taking a new approach to help people understand homelessness. Photojournalist Mike Grady takes us into the recording studio.
Homelessness has been a pressing issue for our community for quite some time, decades, and there have been amazing efforts to try to solve this issue over time.
Is only the beginning of Denver's journey to end homelessness. We're recording final narration for the last episode of the 10-part miniseries for Elevated Denver. Elevated Denver is a series on homelessness in Denver that explores why people become unhoused, what the experience of being unhoused is like, how people get back from being unhoused, and why this situation exists in our city in the first place.
A podcast was a great venue to bring stories to light, to humanize the experience of being unhoused, and to get
we met more of our neighbors,
a deeper set of knowledge around what's happening in our city today and where we might make inroads to be a place where we actually have well-being and dignity for all.
The rest of it is up to us.
Our hope is that they hear the stories of what it's like to navigate the system, to be unhoused, to try to search for affordable housing.
This podcast is intended to be a foundation.
And hear the context surrounding that, where we've been and where we're going.
It is clear to us that this is less than ideal. When you hear the podcast, people will start to understand that it doesn't have to be this way. We are making choices, and we can make different choices, and we can actually bring a functional end to homelessness. I think people will understand homelessness in a way that they've never thought of before, and I think that they'll come to understand that the people that are currently unhoused are people.
You can listen to the podcast by searching Elevated Denver. The first 3 episodes came out this week. Going forward, episodes will be released every Wednesday for the next 7 weeks.
Thank you for everything you're doing this week to help build the Veterans Community Project Village in Longmont. It's going to be a few dozen homes around a community center, a place where veterans struggling with homelessness can go and receive treatment for addiction issues or mental health challenges, a place where veterans with families can be as they look to transition into long-term housing. You've raised more than $20,000 to help complete that project as they break ground this week. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to join me in giving to help Veterans Community Project in Longmont come to fruition.
Colorado has managed to stay free from harm on Earth Day. Let's keep the good news going. Next. That is why my eyes are watering and my nose is itchy. We've talked a lot today about the sometimes scary impacts of climate change, and it had nothing to do with today being Earth Day. Here's your reminder. Our Earth is actually pretty beautiful, even the flowers in the backyard or the trees blooming in the backyard. And it's easy to enjoy it here in Colorado. That's something today in Boulder, too. Our Tom Cole met artist Charles Sturrock, who specializes in kinetic sculpture. And one of his pieces is now on the corner of Broadway and Canyon, blowing in the wind.
Today is a perfect day for kinetic sculpture. A lot of my work is celestial in nature. A lot of crescents and circles and little galaxies and solar systems. This piece originally was pilot and navigator, so the navigator and pilot are the little crescents. The big crescent would be the wing of the craft. This piece, I thought they evolve with time. I'm still a professional sculptor and just up here to do this. It was known as the pilot navigator, which is it's a scale model of a larger piece down in Denver. It's been through winds up to 108, 109 mile an hour. On Earth Day on this corner, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think we need to take care of our Earth a little better because I used to scuba dive and I hear the reefs are dying all over the world, which is extremely concerning. But Earth Day today, it's a good day. My good news is I got a sculpture on the corner of Broadway and Canyon in Boulder, Colorado.
That's a very visible spot. Feedback tonight on wildfires and the term wildfire. That's next. Dina speaks for a lot of the viewers, I'm sure, about wildfires when she writes, "It's going to be a long summer." Dina, first we have to get through 2 more months of spring. Erica writes in that it's as though we're living through the Dust Bowl days of the 30s. And Mike brings up an excellent question, wondering why we continue to use the term wildfire, that it perhaps implies nature or wild is to blame. Mike, I think it's more about that it's where it's burning and that it's burning wildly out of control. But you bring up a good point that if it's human cause and not necessarily wildly caused, perhaps it's worth a conversation about how we term it. We'll be back next time with Kyle Clark.